We're going to look at playing our projects in this tutorial. As we've seen, this is very simple, but also during this tutorial, whilst we're looking at playing our project, we'll look at a couple of extra things that we can do. And in fact, to be much more accurate, our playing the project title for this tutorial should also include previewing our display. Now, in actual fact, we're going to look at previewing the display in the next tutorial, but we will glance at it here too. Anyway, there are three simple ways to play back our project, in that we have three transport control bars. We've got one below our trimmer view, and this is restricted just to our trimmer view. And we've also got some transport controls below our main preview window. And lastly, we see the parallel transport controls connected to the one below our preview window down here below our timeline. As I say, the transport controls down here with our timeline are connected and run in parallel with the one below our main preview window. Okay, let's play this clip from the start by clicking on the transport control play button there below our timeline. Here we go. Okay, and obviously hitting stop there stops it and returns our CTI, our current time indicator, back to the start. Now, I would hazard a guess that the other transport control buttons are self-explanatory. Play, stop, forward, backwards, etc, etc. Just roll over any of those to see a tooltip anyway, just in case. Now, I'm just going to zoom in on our timeline, so I'll click on the plus button there, down in the bottom right corner, that we saw in the previous tutorials. And now notice my thumbnail display on my timeline. Well, for each event, we have a thumbnail at the start. That's the start frame. And then we see a space at this zoom factor anyway. And then there is another thumbnail right at the end of each individual event. Now, I'll get back to adjusting this display on our timeline in the next tutorial. I just wanted to bring it up here. Okay, notice it's the same for our second event there. There's the start thumbnail, and there's the space or the blank, and I just need to drag my horizontal scroll bar to the right there to see the end of the clip, and there you go. There's our end frame thumbnail. Okay, I'll just move our scroller back to the start. Right, let's create a ranged area that automatically places some in and out points. And possibly you'd want to create a ranged area, as we saw quite a few tutorials ago, to focus in on a specific area of your event. So I'll move my cursor to the top of the timeline here, and notice my cursor changes to that double-ended arrow, and I'll randomly choose here, left click and drag to the right there. And now I've created this loop region, and we can see the tooltip popping up to say that the in point is set at 10 seconds and 18 frames, and our out point is 24 seconds and 20 frames. This loop region, though, is not set in stone. Once we've created it, we can subsequently left-click on our in point, for example, and reposition it. Or alternatively, or in addition, you can adjust your out point too. I'll left-click and drag to the left there. Okay, now I'll just slightly adjust my in point again. And now I'll hit the play button below my timeline on the transport control there to watch just this area. Here we go. Okay, and then once complete, our CTI goes right back to the start of our region. So, that played through once. Now, if I want to loop this region so we can audition it or fine-tune the in and out points in much more detail, then click on the loop button there on our transport control next to the record button, and then that grey area between our in and out points now turns blue to indicate that this will repeat or loop. And what I'll do is I'll shorten its length so we don't have to watch it all again. I'll left click on my out point and move to the left to shorten it. And in fact, I'll slightly adjust our in point too. Okay, let's watch this loop back. So I'll hit play. And there you go. You just need to hit the stop button to halt the repeated playback. Right, I'll deselect my repeat or loop button, and I'll left click on my out point there to close up this loop region, and we'll move on. But as I say, in the next tutorial, we'll look at adjusting the display on our timeline.